The wind howled across the Arctic tundra as Dr. Lyra Winters adjusted her thermal goggles, squinting through the darkness of the polar night. The research station's sensors had detected an anomalous energy signature 3 kilometers north, and as the station's lead xenobiologist, she couldn't ignore even the slimmest possibility of extraterrestrial life. "Base, this is Winters." Approaching the anomaly now, she reported through her comm unit, her breath fogging in the -40°C air. The snowmobile's tracks crunched through the fresh powder as she navigated between towering ice formations. The response crackled through her earpiece. "Copy that, Dr. Winters. Remember, you have 40 minutes before the storm hits. Don't make me send Rajesh out after you again." Lyra smiled despite herself. Dr. Rajesh Patel, the station's meteorologist, had indeed rescued her once before when her scientific curiosity had overcome her survival instincts. But something about tonight felt different. The energy readings were unlike anything they'd recorded in their 5 years of operation. The first sign that this wasn't a typical sensor malfunction came as her instruments began to fail one by one. Her tablet flickered and died, followed by her thermal imaging goggles. Even her comm unit fell silent. Only the snowmobile's basic functions continued to operate. Then she saw it, a soft purple glow emanating from within a massive ice formation. Lyra killed the engine and approached on foot, her heart pounding against her ribs. As she drew closer, the ice seemed to become more transparent, revealing the unmistakable angular lines of a vessel. "Oh my God," she whispered, her gloved hand touching the ice. The surface was warm despite the brutal cold, and beneath it, something moved. A figure pressed against the inside of the ice barrier, humanoid but clearly not human. Its skin was translucent, with patterns of light flowing beneath the surface like aurora borealis trapped in glass. The being's eyes opened, revealing irises that shifted like kaleidoscopes. The ice between them began to melt, not in sheets but in perfect hexagonal sections that disappeared without a trace. The alien collapsed forward, and Lyra caught it instinctively. It was lighter than she expected, its body temperature barely registering through her thermal gear. "Help," the word formed in her mind without passing through her ears. "Please." The alien's skin was growing darker, the flowing lights dimming. Lyra didn't need her xenobiology degree to recognize signs of severe distress. She quickly pulled an emergency thermal blanket from her pack and wrapped it around the being. "I'm Dr. Lyra Winters," she said aloud, unsure if the alien could understand spoken words. "I'm here to help. Can you tell me what you need?" The response came as a series of images in her mind, a crystalline structure, geometric patterns, and a sensation of desperate thirst. But not for water, for something else. "Energy," the thought voice clarified. "My ship, damaged. Cannot maintain core temperature." Lyra glanced at her equipment. Everything electronic was dead, drained by some unknown force. Everything except. She reached for the power cell on her belt, a prototype quantum battery developed for Arctic exploration. It contained enough energy to power the station for a week. "Will this help?" she asked, holding it out. The alien's kaleidoscope eyes focused on the battery. Its hand, with too many joints and iridescent skin, reached for the power cell. The moment it made contact, the battery's housing cracked, and pure energy flowed like liquid light into the alien's body. The patterns beneath its skin blazed brilliantly, and Lyra had to shield her eyes. When the light faded, the alien stood straight, its form more solid, more present. "I am Nexus," it communicated, the thoughts now clear and strong in Lyra's mind. "You have saved my life, Dr. Lyra Winters. But I fear I must ask for more help. What crashed my ship was not an accident, and your world is in danger." The distant rumble of thunder mixed with the approaching storm, but Lyra barely noticed. Her life's work had been the search for extraterrestrial life, preparing humanity for first contact. Now, standing before an alien being in the Arctic night, she realized no amount of preparation could have readied her for this moment. "Tell me everything," she said, just as the storm's edge reached them, swirling snow around their forms. "Whatever's coming, we'll face it together." Nexus's expression shifted in a way that might have been a smile. "Together," it agreed, the word carrying weight and warmth in Lyra's mind. "But first, we must hurry. The ones who followed me here will not be far behind, and they are not as peaceful as I am." As if in response to Nexus's warning, a deep rumble shook the ice beneath their feet, too powerful to be thunder, too rhythmic to be natural. Lyra looked to the storm-dark sky, knowing that somewhere up there, everything was about to change. Lyra had imagined first contact countless times during her career, but none of her scenarios involved smuggling an alien into an Arctic research station on a snowmobile. Nexus sat behind her, its body emanating a faint warmth that contradicted the brutal cold around them. The research station emerged from the storm like a ghost ship, its reinforced walls barely visible through the swirling snow. Lyra bypassed the main entrance, steering toward her private lab's emergency access. Her credentials would buy them at least a few hours before anyone realized something was wrong. "Your dwelling is primitive," Nexus observed in her mind as they entered the lab. The thought carried no judgment, only curiosity. "It's temporary," Lyra responded, helping Nexus onto an examination table. "We're here to study climate changes in the Arctic. Though I suspect that's about to become a secondary concern." The alien's kaleidoscope eyes tracked her movements as she activated her lab's autonomous systems. "Your species is still bound by physical distance," Nexus noted. "It makes you innovative, resourceful." Lyra began scanning Nexus with every instrument at her disposal. "Those who followed you, they're like you?" "No." Nexus's thought voice darkened. "The Void Hunters are something else. Something that should not exist." A sharp knock at the lab door made them both freeze. "Dar. Winters?" Rajesh's voice called out. The sensors picked up some crazy readings. "Everything okay in there?" Lyra glanced at Nexus, who nodded almost imperceptibly. "Come in, Raj," she called. "But please, don't panic." The door slid open, and Rajesh stepped inside, his eyes immediately locking onto Nexus. His tablet clattered to the floor. "Holy, is that Dr. Rajesh Patel," Nexus greeted, including him in its telepathic communication. "Your colleague has saved my life. Now I must ask both of you to help me save yours." Rajesh grabbed a chair, his legs unsteady. "I'm either hallucinating or this is the greatest moment in human history." "Possibly both," Lyra said, studying her scan results. "Nexus's biology is incredible. Its cellular structure can directly process energy, and there's some kind of quantum entanglement at the molecular level." "The pursuing vessels will be here within 6 hours, Nexus interrupted. "They track the quantum signature of my ship. Once they locate it, they will detect your facility." "What exactly are these Void Hunters?" Rajesh asked, his scientific curiosity overcoming his shock. Nexus's skin rippled with dark patterns. "They were once like me, part of the luminous collective. But they discovered something in the space between galaxies, an ancient technology that corrupted them. They learned to feed on the life energy of entire civilizations." "And they followed you here?" Lyra felt her blood run cold. "Why Earth?" "Because your species is unique." Nexus turned its kaleidoscope eyes to her. "Your minds are adaptable, resilient. You can resist the void corruption that consumed my people. I came to warn you, to help you prepare." A distant alarm began to wail. Rajesh rushed to a monitoring station. "Multiple objects entering the atmosphere. They're massive, and they're heading straight for us. We need to evacuate the station," Lyra decided. "How many ships, Raj?" 3. each one bigger than anything humans have ever built. Nexus stood, its form seeming to grow more substantial. The Void Hunters travel in triads. They will strip this facility of all energy, including your bioelectric fields. Everyone here will die. Lyra's mind raced. The nuclear backup generator. Could we overload it? Create some kind of energy surge? Yes, Nexus's thought carried excitement. If we can amplify the output through my ship's remnant core, it might create a quantum feedback loop. The Void Hunters cannot process chaotic energy patterns. That would irradiate the entire area, Rajesh protested. Not if we can contain it, Lyra said, pulling up the station's schematics. The ice formations around your ship, they're not natural, are they, Nexus? No. My vessel's emergency protocols created a quantum crystalline structure. It can channel and focus energy. The alarm's pitch increased. The Void Hunters were getting closer. Raj, evacuate the station. Get everyone to the emergency bunkers. Lyra grabbed her Arctic gear. Nexus and I will handle the generator. Lyra. Rajesh hesitated at the door. Be careful. Whatever these things are, they're putting out more energy than a small sun. As Rajesh left, Lyra turned to Nexus. Ready to save the world? The alien's skin brightened. Dar. Lyra Winters, I believe your species has a saying, ready as I'll ever be. They stepped out into the storm, which had grown stronger, as if nature itself sensed the approaching threat. Above them, three massive shapes began to breach the cloud cover, their surfaces absorbing all light, creating holes in the sky. Lyra felt Nexus's presence in her mind strengthen, offering courage and determination. Whatever happened next would change everything, not just for her, but for all of humanity. The question was, would anyone live to tell about it? The nuclear generator's hum filled the underground chamber as Lyra worked frantically at the control panel. Above them, the Void Hunters' ships cast impossible shadows through the Arctic storm, their presence distorting the very fabric of reality. The quantum harmonics aren't aligning, Lyra muttered, her fingers flying over the controls. We need more power, but any more strain could cause a meltdown. Nexus stood beside her, its translucent skin pulsing with streams of light that matched the generator's rhythm. There is another way, it communicated. But it requires trust. A violent tremor shook the facility. Through their mental link, Lyra felt Nexus's growing concern. The Void Hunters were beginning their energy drain, starting with the outer edges of the research station. Whatever it is, do it, Lyra said. We're out of options. Nexus placed its luminescent hands on either side of Lyra's face. My species can share memories, experiences, entire lifetimes. Let me show you the truth. The world dissolved around Lyra. Suddenly, she was floating in a vast crystal city, its spires reaching into a purple sky filled with 3 moons. She felt Nexus's memories flood her consciousness, the luminous collective, a civilization built on shared consciousness and pure energy. She saw the discovery of the Void technology, ancient machines that promised unlimited power. She experienced the horror as the first of her people, Nexus's people, were corrupted, their luminous forms turning into bottomless darkness. We weren't just scientists, Nexus's voice echoed in her mind. We were guardians, tasked with protecting the younger races. When the Void Hunters emerged, we scattered across the galaxy, searching for species with the potential to resist. The vision shifted. Lyra saw Earth through alien eyes, watched as Nexus observed humanity's struggles and triumphs. Your kind possesses something unique, Nexus continued. A quality we lost eons ago, the ability to change, to evolve, to become more than what you are. Another tremor, stronger this time. In the physical world, warning lights flashed across the control panel. The Void Hunters were getting closer. The vision shattered, and Lyra found herself back in the generator room, gasping. You've been watching us? For how long? Centuries. We had to be certain. Nexus's form flickered like a candle in wind. The Void Hunters don't just want your energy, they want to prevent what you might become. A species that could challenge them. Rajesh's voice crackled over the intercom. Lyra, we've got everyone in the bunkers, but these things, they're consuming everything. The temperature's dropping to impossible levels. We've got maybe 10 minutes before total system failure. Lyra studied Nexus's alien features, seeing them with new understanding. You said your ship created quantum crystals. Could we use the generator to amplify that process? Create a larger crystalline structure? Yes, but... Nexus hesitated. It would require a direct neural interface. I would have to link with both you and the generator. The risk to your consciousness would be significant. Would it work? In theory, the crystal formation could channel the generator's power, creating a quantum barrier. But Lyra... Nexus's thought voice softened. The process could kill you. Another crash echoed through the facility. The lights flickered, and Lyra felt a cold that went beyond temperature. The Void Hunters were beginning to drain the bioelectric energy from everything in range. How many people are in this facility, Nexus? 87 humans. Then there's no choice. Lyra stepped forward, meeting Nexus's kaleidoscope eyes. Do it. Nexus's form brightened. You continue to surprise me, Dr. Lyra Winters. Your courage, it reminds me of what we once were. The alien placed one hand on the generator and the other on Lyra's forehead. The connection was instantaneous and overwhelming. Lyra felt her consciousness expand, merge with Nexus's vast alien awareness. The generator's power flowed through them both, transforming from mere energy into something more. Through their shared perception, Lyra saw the Void Hunters clearly for the first time, massive ships that weren't ships at all, but crystallized darkness given form. They descended through the storm, their surfaces drinking in light, heat, and life itself. But something was changing. The ice around the facility began to crystallize, not in random patterns, but in precise, geometric forms that rose from the ground like translucent towers. The crystals hummed with power, conducting the generator's energy through paths that Lyra somehow understood on an atomic level. Now, Nexus's voice echoed in her mind. Together. Lyra felt her consciousness stretch to its breaking point as they channeled the power through the crystal network. The barrier had to be perfect, a single flaw would doom them all. Above them, the Void Hunters sensed the trap too late. The quantum crystal barrier snapped into place, its energy pattern too chaotic, too human for their void-corrupted systems to process. Their massive forms recoiled, their darkness meeting an impossible light. But as the barrier rose, Lyra felt something inside her begin to fade. The human mind wasn't meant to channel this much power, to touch this much infinity. As her vision dimmed, she heard Nexus's voice, filled with both triumph and sorrow. Hold on, Lyra Winters. This is not where your story ends. Consciousness returned to Lyra in waves of color and sound. She floated in a space between thoughts, where memories danced like aurora borealis. Some were hers, childhood dreams of the stars, years of study, the cold bite of Arctic wind. Others belonged to Nexus, crystal cities, the birth of suns, the slow dance of galaxies. She's stabilizing, a familiar voice cut through the haze. Rajesh. But these readings, they don't make any sense. Lyra opened her eyes to find herself in the station's medical bay, surrounded by humming equipment. Her skin tingled with residual energy, and when she looked at her hands, she could see faint patterns of light moving beneath the surface, like nexuses. Welcome back, Dr. Winters. The voice belonged to Colonel Diana Hayes, head of Arctic Defense Command. She stood at the foot of Lyra's bed, her expression unreadable. You've been unconscious for 3 days. The station? Lyra's voice felt strange in her throat. The Void Hunters? The barrier held, Rajesh said, checking her vitals. Those things couldn't breach it. They retreated to the upper atmosphere, but they're still up there, watching. And Nexus? A heavy silence fell over the room. Colonel Hayes stepped forward. The alien entity is in containment. Its presence poses a significant security risk, especially given what it's done to you. Lyra sat up, ignoring the protest of her muscles. Done to me? Nexus saved us all. It altered you at a quantum level, Hayes countered. Your DNA is showing signs of manipulation we can't even begin to understand. You're not entirely human anymore, Doctor. The truth of those words resonated through Lyra's changed consciousness. She could feel the quantum crystal barrier surrounding the station, could sense the void ships lurking above like wounds in reality. More than that, she could feel Nexus's presence, faint but persistent, calling to her. Where are they keeping it? That's classified, Hayes said. A containment team from Global Defense is en route. The alien will be transferred to a secure facility for study. Study? Lyra swung her legs off the bed, steadying herself against Rajesh's offered arm. Colonel, you don't understand what we're dealing with. The Void Hunters aren't just going to leave. They'll wait until Nexus is moved, until the barrier fails, and then they'll consume everything. We have contingency plans. No plan on Earth can stop them, Lyra insisted. They've destroyed entire civilizations more advanced than ours. The only reason we're still alive is because of Nexus. Hayes's expression hardened. And we're supposed to trust the word of an alien being that's already compromised one of our top scientists? Trust the evidence, Rajesh interrupted, pulling up a holographic display. The quantum barrier isn't just holding back those ships, it's changing the fundamental properties of spacetime around the station. We're recording quantum effects that should be impossible. This technology could revolutionize everything: energy production, space travel, medicine. All the more reason to contain and study it properly, Hayes said. Dr. Winters, you'll be transferred along with the alien. Your condition needs to be monitored. Lyra felt something stir in her modified consciousness, a warning. Through her lingering connection with Nexus, she sensed movement in orbit. The Void Hunters were repositioning. They're preparing something, she said. Colonel, please. Let me talk to Nexus. We need to strengthen the barrier before. The station's lights flickered, and a deep vibration shook the walls. Alarms blared. Multiple energy signatures detected, a voice announced over the intercom. They're attacking the barrier. Hayes rushed to a communication panel, barking orders. Lyra closed her eyes, extending her newfound senses. The Void Hunters had found a resonance frequency, a way to disrupt the quantum crystalline structure. Take me to Nexus, she demanded. Now. Or we all die. Hayes hesitated, decades of military training warring with the evidence of her own eyes as the lights continued to flicker and die. Fine, she said finally. But if this is a trick. It's not a trick, Lyra said, following Hayes into the corridor. It's evolution. They ran through darkening hallways as the station's power failed system by system. The barrier was drawing more energy to maintain itself, but it wouldn't be enough. Lyra could feel the quantum structure straining, cracking under the Void Hunter's assault. In her mind, she heard Nexus's voice, weak but clear, "Hurry, Lyra Winters. The void between worlds grows hungry." The containment level was 3 stories underground. As they descended, Lyra felt the changes in her body accelerating, responding to the proximity of Nexus and the quantum energies saturating the air. Her skin glowed faintly in the emergency lighting, and she understood with sudden clarity that she stood on the edge of something momentous, a transformation not just of herself, but of what humanity could become. The only question was, would they survive long enough to see it? The containment chamber door slid open to reveal Nexus suspended in a field of crackling energy. Its luminescent form had dimmed, but its kaleidoscope eyes brightened at the sight of Lyra. The connection between them surged, and suddenly they were communicating on levels beyond words. "Your transformation progresses faster than expected," Nexus observed. "The quantum resonance between us has catalyzed something unprecedented." Colonel Hayes raised her weapon as Lyra stepped toward the containment field. "That's close enough, Doctor." The station shuddered again. Through the walls, through her altered perception, Lyra felt the quantum barrier beginning to fail. The Void Hunter's attack was sophisticated, they were unraveling the crystalline structure like a thread pulled from a sweater. "We don't have time for this," Lyra said, turning to Hayes. "The barrier will collapse in minutes. Everything we've built, everything we are, it all ends unless we act now." Hayes's finger tightened on the trigger. "And what exactly are you proposing?" "A completion," Nexus answered, its thought voice reaching everyone in the room. "The quantum transformation must be finished. Not just for Lyra, but for all of humanity." "You want to change us?" Hayes's voice hardened. "Like you changed her?" "No," Lyra interrupted. "Not change, awaken. Show them, Nexus. Show them what I saw." Before Hayes could react, the air itself seemed to crystallize. The containment chamber disappeared, replaced by a vision of Earth seen through quantum-enhanced senses. Lines of potential and probability stretched between people like threads of light, each human consciousness a node in a vast, sleeping network. "Your species stands on the edge of a quantum awakening," Nexus explained as the vision expanded to show the galaxy. "The Void Hunters sense this. They fear what you might become. What you already are becoming." The vision shifted to show other worlds, other species touched by the luminous collective, each taking their first steps into quantum consciousness. But Earth glowed brighter, its potential almost blinding. "We're not here to change you," Nexus continued. "We're here to help you change yourselves." The vision collapsed as another tremor rocked the station. Warning klaxons blared through every speaker. "Barrier failure imminent." Rajesh's voice cracked over the intercom. "Multiple breaches detected." Hayes lowered her weapon, her expression conflicted. "Even if what you're showing us is true, we can't just—" "Colonel," Lyra interrupted, her skin now glowing with visible quantum energy. "Look up." Through the ceiling, through meters of ice and steel, they could all suddenly see them, the Void Hunters' ships, their surfaces drinking in light and heat, creating holes in reality itself. But now they could also see what the ships contained, beings of crystallized darkness, their forms twisted by the ancient technology they discovered, their consciousness turned endless and hungry. "They were like us once," Nexus said softly. "Before fear drove them to embrace the void. Before they forgot how to change." Lyra stepped forward, her transformed cells resonating with the quantum barrier above. "We can strengthen the barrier, make it permanent. But it needs to be powered by consciousness, not just energy. We need everyone." "Everyone?" Hayes asked. "The entire station," Lyra confirmed. "Every mind, every consciousness, linked together through the quantum field. Like a preview of what humanity might become." Another shock wave. The lights failed completely, emergency power barely keeping the containment field active. Hayes stared at her weapon, then at the ceiling where the void ships loomed. "How long do we have?" "Minutes," Nexus answered. "Perhaps less." The colonel activated her comm unit. "All personnel. This is Colonel Hayes. What I'm about to say will sound impossible, but I need you to listen carefully." What followed was a symphony of consciousness. As Hayes explained and Rajesh coordinated from the control room, the station's 87 inhabitants opened their minds to possibility. Nexus and Lyra served as conduits, bridging the gap between human consciousness and quantum reality. The process was different for each person. Some felt it as music, others as light, still others as pure mathematics made sensory. But as each mind joined the network, the quantum barrier grew stronger, more complex, more alive. Lyra felt them all, the scientists and soldiers, the maintenance crews and medical staff, each consciousness adding its unique pattern to the whole. Not erasing individuality but enhancing it, like instruments in an orchestra playing a symphony of reality itself. The Void Hunters sensed the change. Their ships recoiled as the barrier transformed from a simple energy field into something new, a quantum expression of human potential, powered by the very thing they had come to destroy. "They're retreating," Rajesh reported, his voice resonating through both the intercom and the quantum field. "All 3 ships. They're breaking orbit." Through their shared consciousness, everyone in the station felt the moment the Void Hunters fled, their dark ships vanishing into the space between stars. But something else remained, a connection, a glimpse of what humanity might become. Slowly, carefully, Nexus and Lyra helped each person return to their individual consciousness. The barrier remained, sustained now by the quantum awakening that had begun in those desperate minutes. "What happens now?" Hayes asked, holstering her weapon. Lyra looked at Nexus, their shared knowledge flowing between them. "Now we take the next step. Earth needs to be ready. The Void Hunters will return, and next time they'll bring more than 3 ships. We will help you prepare," Nexus added. "Not by changing who you are, but by helping you become who you were always meant to be." Lyra turned to Hayes, her transformed eyes holding new depths of understanding. "Colonel, would you help us make a call? I think it's time humanity had a serious conversation about its place in the universe." Outside, the Arctic dawn broke over a changed world. The research station stood surrounded by towers of quantum crystal, their surfaces reflecting not just light but possibility itself. And in orbit, satellites recorded an unprecedented message being broadcast to every corner of the globe. "People of Earth, we are not alone. And we are about to become so much more."